Hello everybody, my name's Nicola and welcome back to my channel. This is the Frugal Cottage, where we talk all things money to help you on your financial journey. Today's video is my September 2025 budget update. It's the end of No Spend September, so I thought I'd share all the numbers with you. So don't forget to like and subscribe and let's get started. And yes, I still sound like this, frustratingly so. I apologise for how I sound. I sound ridiculous and I'm definitely finding it hard to shift this cold. But here we go, I thought I'd share this anyway. So this is September, No Spend September is done. I've really enjoyed it. I've been ultra focused this month and I'm really happy with the outcome, as I'll share with you. So as usual, I am using my trusty budget planner. I'll leave a link below to these. The first thing to look at is my No Spend Day tracker. Look at this. I'm so happy with this. I can't begin to tell you how many, I don't think I've had a month like this in a long time where it's been this good. So I've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 20. I've had 26 no spend days in September, which works out as only 4 spend days. Now I have talked before about how I work these out actually might not suit everybody, in terms of, you might say, well, you're still spending money, but yeah, there's reasons for that. For me, that's absolutely fantastic. And so I've shared the numbers for weeks 1, 2 and 3 already, so I will skip forward to week 4. So week 4, the aim was for another 6 no spend days, and obviously you can see that I have. So Tuesday, basketball, £5, followed by petrol after that because the light was on, £46.34 there for petrol. Wednesday, Thursday and Friday were no spend days. Saturday, so I spent £59.75 on food, £2.65 on some toilet roll, and then the cat some dried food for the cat. So that wasn't a no spend day there, but the rest of the week absolutely was. So for the end of week 4, oh, also I appreciate that it's slow and £5.50 might not seem that exciting, but I made another 2 sales on Vinted this week, so I've made £5.50 on there, although it hasn't cleared. Don't really understand why things take so long, but there we go. I'm sure it's just something to get used to. So yeah, so £5.50 from Vinted sales this week, which is fab. 6 no spend days. So the only thing I could be really sad about, but I'm really not actually, is I've gone £1.71 over budget in the food by the end of week 4. But actually I have got a video coming up on Sunday. I bought things to do some batch cooking with, so that includes that actually, so I'm okay with that. Petrol, I spent £46.34 this week on petrol, which leaves me £65.92 remaining. £5 on basketball this week was £69.75 remaining. £2.65 in household, which leaves £17.35. That's the first time I've used that budget in this month. And then £1.80 on the cat, which leaves his budget as 79 pence remaining. So this was Sunday, so this was with 2 days to go. So as you can see, so then week 5, so essentially yesterday and today, nothing yesterday, and then today basketball again and petrol again, £41.69, which means that for week 5 they're the only 2 spends there. It seems a bit daft really, but that's how the weeks worked out anyway. I filled out the vintage things on here. So overall I have made £17 in extra income in September, which isn't a lot. And the stuff from Vinted I haven't actually got yet, as in it's not actual cash I've got in my bank account, but I've got the £10, so that will go into sinking funds when I do my sinking fund update, that £10 will anyway. Savings aim was not filled in, it wasn't ever filled in anyway. So the final numbers are as follows, and yeah, well, we'll go through it. So food, in total in September spent £201.71 on food. My budget for food was £200, so yes, I have gone over that, but it's £1.71 that I've gone over by, and like I said, I've bought stuff to make some things for the freezer, so I am okay with it going over by that. And like I say, I've got a video coming up on Sunday about that, so I'm okay with that, although it looks, I've gone over budget, that's not ideal, but in the grand scheme of things it's okay, especially when you look at the numbers that are left and all the others. Petrol, I spent £225.77 on petrol, which leaves £24.23 remaining. Household, £2.65 spent and £17.35 remaining. Miscellaneous, £7. They were socks actually in week 1 or week 2, which leaves me £13 remaining. Cats, oh, I put an S. It's just one cat, the cat, our cat. I spent £14.21 on him, and there were 79 pence remaining. And then children, £35.25 and £64.75 remaining. So yes, it could be sad that they're not all green. However, I'm more than happy with that. And what I have done with some of this, so both of my boys have Go Henry cards, and so I've put some of the remaining on that onto my parent balance, which then pays them pocket money, because I give them pocket money every week to teach them about spending habits and things like that. And then I'm going to put some in my singing fund again. I'll share that when the video comes, and the rest of it is just left as a buffer for now in my account. So yeah, but I'm really happy with those numbers. I think in terms of no spend September, even this one aside, I don't think that could have been any better. I've really tried hard to stick to what I said I was going to, not buy anything extra unless I really needed to. And you know, I don't know if you watched, I talked about a jumper that I'd picked up in Sainsbury's and then put back. So I was in Sainsbury's on Saturday and they had the jumper still, but they only had it in size 20 and 22. So a tiny part of me was a bit disappointed, but then I was like, actually, do you know what, that's meant to be, because I said I'd get it in October if it was still there, and the sizes weren't, I mean, it is still there, but I'm not a 20 or 22, nowhere near. And so therefore it's okay. And I talked a lot about wants versus needs, and it seems really daft, but it just goes to show that actually. And have I missed not having that jumper? No, because I've got loads of others. And I wear hoodies quite often, and I have loads of those. So yeah, it just one of those things. But I thought it was interesting that when I went on Saturday that it was still there, just the big sizes left. And yeah, anyway, so again, 26 no spend days, again a really fantastic result there. £17 in extra income, £7 of it still sat in the limbo of Vinted. £10 is, and then I've put things to do differently next month. I have just said to keep an eye on the food budget, and I have said that it's because I'm going to do some batch cooking, but even so, it is still mindful of that and seeing where that goes. And I have been down a bit of a rabbit hole of ultra processed food or ultra processed free food, and I'm trying to not get too bogged down into that, because I was looking at some of the switches you can make for things, so like squash being one of them. And we go through quite a lot of squash as a household, and I mean, I have some squash on my Amazon wish list, but the one I normally buy is like Sainsbury's or Lidl's own version, because they're loads cheaper. The ultra processed free version of that, I looked in Sainsbury's on Saturday, was £3.60 versus I think the little one's about 90 pence. And so I was looking at kind of the alternatives of things, and oh my gosh, the price difference is ridiculous. And I can't, as much as I'd love to suddenly go, right, we're not eating any of the processed food ever again because of all the kind of the research into it. As a single parent who works, you know, I work full time, I'm out of the house ridiculously long days sometimes. I don't have the time to make everything from scratch, and I don't have the money to do it either. So I'm trying not to be sucked into the fact that I can't give them all of that either, because that something has to give at some point, and I'm doing the best I can, and I need to remind myself of that sometimes, because sometimes it feels like no matter what you do, it's not enough, or you could always be doing better, couldn't you, always, in every aspect of life. And sometimes it's easier to accept than others. But there we go, I'm going off on a bit of a tangent there, but that's what my no spend September looks like, and I am genuinely really pleased with that. I think it's gone really well, and like I say, the numbers at the end prove that I can do that, and prove that I can stay in what feels like a really tight budget. And actually the numbers in theory could be lower, because I am under budget, and I am regularly under budget in some of the categories. And then I think, well, maybe I should increase my food budget, because it is always really tight on whether I make it or not. maybe I should do that, maybe I should raise that a bit, and then it wouldn't feel quite so hard. I don't know. What would you do if that was you? Would you keep it as it is at £200? Or would you give yourself, say I could raise it to £220, would you do it? I can't decide. But yeah, that's No Spend September done. For another year, I always do No Spend September. I think it's a really good reset to the start of I know it's not the start of a new year, but it always seems like a good starting point. It's a new school year for the kids. I work in education as well, so it's a new school year for me, and it just seems like a good reset in that sense. So yeah, did you do No Spend September? How did your month go? How many no spend days have you had? I know there were lots of comments and people who were going to join me, so let me know how you've got on. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. And if you haven't already, please can you like and subscribe, as it really helps the channel out. And I'll see you again in another video very soon.